Yeah. Say hello to the camera. Alright, so I'm just gonna have a little bit of a whinge real quickly. I love having a whinge. It's like the Australian tradition. I'm very angry, right? And I'm very whingy. Australians tend to whine and whinge a lot. And they tend to be pissed off all the time. Just kidding. They're the greatest people ever. But I thought I'd quickly make this one up. Just for lols. I thought I'd quickly make this one up. Make sure everything's live, mic is working, great. Hey. Cat split button depressed. Blip, 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 blip. I know I'm making this video like needlessly long, but I'm trying to do it like in a semi-live format. It's like when I say semi-live, I mean like it's kind of scripted, but it's kind of not. So, you know what I find funny is when work starts talking about drug policies. I know that I'm in the clear, but it's hilarious watching when all people like just suddenly goes from working like this. Oh my god. It's so bad, man. It's hilarious. Right. You can probably picture like most stoners kind of work like that most of the time. Because like that's kind of how they work. It's like slow. But then, you know, a manager comes in and says, oh, here's the new workplace drug policy. People are like, oh, we might get tested. Oh no! Oh no! And then they suddenly go from working like that to working like this. Now, there's also a couple of other problems. It's like another rant that I'm going to have today. It's like, so I'm managing my time effectively at work and multitasking, doing 3 different jobs at once. So I'm doing like, I am processing putaways, I am doing picks, I'm doing replenishments for like static racking and stuff, which is like walk around picking stuff. So I actually have to manually move cartons from a forklift area into an area where people walk around and actually grab stuff off racks. Which is quite involved because most of the time like you're replenishing multiple, like you're not just picking an order, like you're grabbing as much as you can to fit as much as you can back into the racks and all that sort of stuff. And someone whose job it apparently is to bitch at everyone and blame everyone else starts panicking and blaming you for work that hasn't been done. Like for instance, in this case today, picks, right? And you know, basically and then when you take the pile of work they were saying couldn't get done, remember it's all your fault for doing all those other jobs first. But then you smash it out more than twice as fast as all the other workers who have been spending all day scratching their ass or possibly waiting for the next couple of cones or like coming down or whatever the fuck is wrong with them, right?
Appreciate the tenor of the conversations. I think it will actually yield results before the end of the year, and I look forward to continuing this dialogue in the months ahead. Thank you very much, everybody.
And you take all that work that needed to be done, and you finish it, like, and like you've just straight up said to your manager, it's like, Yeah, well, I don't see that as a priority. I don't know why people are panicking, because the two people are apparently picking right now. They'd be able to smash that out easy. And then you smash it out with 20 minutes left of your day by yourself. You pick up a big massive pile of pick slips and you fucking get it done.
Good day, man.
Oh yeah. So, like, it actually says something that I quickly organized this video because of how irritating the incompetence at work is. Like, I am, like, pretty damn good at my job. Like, I know what I'm doing, but, like, the thing is that I do every job. Like, I don't just do one job, like, I do everything. I talk to everyone, like, I organize, like, receiving, I try to help anyway. I try to hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, organize it. I try to help organize the putaways. I do shitloads of picking when people are not doing putaways to standard. Like, that's one reason why I'm doing putaways, is because as a picker, I know how they should be putting it away. And like, I know what makes it easier for us when we're picking it. So, like, I've got to be straight across every single part of the process, from like receiving to like putaways to like picking to like replenishments for like static rack people who have to like grab stuff out of you know, like locations that they can't reach with a forklift because like you're on foot, and like they can't work in our area because they're on foot and like we're on forklifts. I mean, like, so I'm spending all day driving around like a 2-3 ton piece of machinery, just like fucking pallet after pallet after pallet after pallet, and I'm doing my job. And like, not only that, I'm doing like double checks and triple checks on fucking everything while I'm doing it. Like, so to name it, for instance, today, I better check chat just in case someone started like listening to my ranting. It'll be funny. Hello! Oh shit, there are a couple of people here. Alright, so, oh fuck, where was I? Yeah, so like performing like checks and balances on basically everything to get it done. So like today, I moved 30 pallets from one side of the warehouse to another. I checked off about 9 different pallets of mixed goods. Organized all the bulk and stuff that hasn't been booked in yet, like going into our inventory system. Stuff that like we will need to find in a couple of days. So I'm already in the process of actually organizing all those pallets and like getting part numbers for like a pallet might have 10, 15, 20 part numbers on it. And like before it's even put away, I have temporary locations on paperwork where it is on the floor, which is what the receivers should be fucking doing, but they don't. So it's left to me. So I do the put away shit. I picked more than 20 lines, so that's like 20 pallets in less than an hour, and that's finding stuff on a pallet which might have 150 different lines on it. So pull down the pallet, well, there it is, yoink. Meanwhile, I'm watching people working in the rest of the warehouse, and they've got their clipboard and shit, and they're like, oh, there's a pallet. Oh, there's a clipboard. Oh, there's a pallet. And like moving around, people not getting shit done. Like for instance, when stock goes missing. So like when receivers haven't done their job and actually counted the product properly, which is the reason why I have to step in as a put-away operator and make sure that they do their fucking job. When I have to turn around and like get fucking $6,000 worth of stock just basically thrown out of the database because we cannot locate it because they have not done their job in actually doing it right. And then they turn around and get bitchy about it because it's like, oh, but we were told to do this. It's like, well, if there's a problem with your receiving process, shouldn't you escalate that? Oh no, but we get told to do this. And like, I'm actually just like a fucking casual picker, and I'm just like, dude, look at what I am getting away with, emulate what I am doing, right? Tell the upper people who are telling you what to do to fuck off and let you do your job, and happy. So yeah, I just don't get it. And like, it's kind of, it gets beyond a joke, but like the great part is I can turn up to work chill because I do the work of 2 or 3 people. I can just basically go, breathe, breathe, And yeah, so anyway, hey Rocky, how are you going? So this is going to be a good rant video. I've already probably the start of it's probably the best part because I went overboard and actually made like animations and like uploaded like videos and shit. Actually edited a nice video. I saw that like yeah, anyway, you're fine. I'm ranting to myself again. So how was your day? I need to go find some bloody Talios or something. I got papers. I got tobacco. But I still need filters. Be right back, dude. My dude. So yeah, I just I don't get like the toxic nature of some people. It's like, well, like I turn up to work to get the job done. That's what I try to do, and I try to get the job done. But you got people who are like watching over their back all the time, like worried about losing their jobs and shit, or like, you know, just throwing their 5 cents in every time. So like you'll be doing your job normally, and all of a sudden, like say a manager will walk over or something, and one person all of a sudden will be like, oh panic, and like, oh it's their fault, oh it's their fault, it's all their fault. And it's like, well the job's getting done, like stop fucking panicking, like multitasking today. Yeah, yeah, like multitasking today was like fantastic. It's like the priority, for instance, is to get all the forklift picks done. The forklift picks have to be done, like they have to be done. But there's other stuff that has to be done, right? There aren't going to be any forklift picks if putaways aren't done. And if putaways aren't done, then receivers are going to have to do it. And if the receivers have to do it, they don't have enough time to do it because they got to check off everything themselves and put it away, which is, as we all know, it doesn't work. Like, the efficiency model is you have people receiving, bring it in, checking it off, and then you have someone else putting it away. That's how it works. That's what you do. Yeah, I know, right? Like, it's not even, like, I'm not blaming the receivers. Like, that's the thing. I'm not blaming the receivers. But, like, it says something when a couple of people can go away for holiday and have no one replace them, and the place runs just as efficiently, if not more efficiently. And then the minute that they come back, they start trying to put their spin on everything again, and everything just slows down, and all of a sudden you have people who are actually doing their work and were doing their job, doing something else, which they, like, really, there's no need for them to be actually doing. Like, it's just people putting their 5 cents in and trying to make themselves look good. And, like, God, like, I mean, everyone tries to make themselves look good, but you don't do it at the expense of someone else. So, like, and, like, you don't do some of the things that have been going on. Like, it's just, it's hard to explain. There's so many people who just turn up and they want to, just go through the day and do what their job description is and just do that. And fuck everything else. They don't give a fuck. Oh, so we got orders piling up over here, which are eventually going to end up like a big fucking mountain of shit that someone's going to have to go through at a later stage. And oh no, that's not important. No, that's fine. It's not like there's going to be a bottleneck created from that being there, because no, that's fine. You just go do picking. Like that's your job, right? Like you're a picker. You wouldn't needed a crowbar. The amount of shit that guy's got. Oh god. Well, at least he won't be as full of shit tomorrow. Right? Am I right? But yeah, like it's just like there's a massive lack of communication, and there's a like a communication bridge where people aren't talking to each other. So you have several different areas, right? You've got your forklift stuff, and you've got your static stuff, and you've got your like your VLM vertical lift module stuff, and then you've got like your receivers, and you got your put away operators, and you got your like you got two different teams of receivers working, two different teams, right? So I have to work with both teams. I have to work with both teams of receivers, and I also have to work with all the other pickers and operators and stuff. And like the way I do things is that like if they need to find out where something is, by the time it's there, I have fucking paperwork that I give them by hand and say, okay, you can touch it now. Otherwise, basically, they'll just go and grab it. I mean, like, you kind of, like, you have to communicate. And it's not just that, but, like, whenever, like, say, for instance, someone working in static decides to move something from one spot to another, they don't need to leave a note, like, on the old location saying something, oh, I've got it. You have to ask person after person after person after, oh, so you know what happened, right? And like that's just the weirdest thing. Like actually, it's like ask me 3 times and I shall give you the right answer, like fucking like Austin Powers shit. It's just like it's literally a fucking shit show. And like I can understand because like our uppers. Like they know they kind of know what's going on, but they cannot sit there and stare over people's shoulders and micromanage them because that would completely destroy any confidence that they had left, and it would also like basically just like reveal how incompetent everyone is, and that's what you don't want to do because granted, although the people who are there kind of know what they're doing, right? Even though if they don't do it the most efficient way, right? If you got rid of them, of course the whole place would come to a halt. So like that's the thing. Like you gotta work with people who kind of know what they're doing, and otherwise you don't have any fucking idea how bad it gets. Like I can't spend my time running around fixing fucking 100 million different little fucking problems, though I do. That's what I do all day. But like I like to leave the like half of it to like someone who's at least marginally competent so that I don't have to sit there and do that all day. So I'm doing putaways, I'm doing picks, I'm doing fucking replenishments, I'm doing fucking like communication, like supervisory stuff, like people aren't doing their work to snuff. I'm like, could you perhaps do it this way? Like it might make it a little bit easier for us, you know, down the track. And fucking hell. Oh, it's just dealing with the fucking bullshit. I mean, at least things are starting to get a little bit better. Like since we had one young dude go, because he was putting like every single carton on a pallet with labels facing inwards. So like whenever you went to a pallet, and like a pallet might have 100 to 150 different fucking part numbers on it, you're looking for one part number, something that's scribbled on a fucking box, and I can guarantee you it's always the bottom carton on the corner with the label facing inwards. Every fucking time. Now that cunt's gone, at least it's getting a little bit better because we have a couple of other people who don't do that shit because they're actually moderately experienced. And like, it's almost like dealing with a fucking circus. Like literally, like every team needs someone to fucking micro them because if you don't fucking micro them, they fuck everything up. I avoid the urinals. Yeah. Oh man, you can tell when like half the warehouse has had like a decent day because like the after grog bogs are real. Like they've been on the piss or whatever. And like before 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, everyone's like rushing to the toilet like after an hour or so. Come back like 15, 20 minutes later like... like then you go to the toilet afterwards and you can see the smears on the walls. Like it's splattered all over the fucking ceiling. You can smell it. People are dying from like being gassed out by, you know, Glen 20. Hey Alex, how you going? And hey, Holmesy, God, I think this is the first time I've ever seen you in here. The after gory bog. Yeah, it's a, you can smell the like the smell of the Mediterranean, pretty much. Like, it makes you wonder, like, when someone's using a urinal, like, what makes them, like, think it's like, we might pluck out some pubes today and sprinkle it in. Like, a little bit of a toilet garnish. The toilet furikake. After a while, it probably looks like rice is growing in it, too. I've noticed that certain people like use the disabled toilet because like it's a whole nother world in our toilets. Have you ever noticed how those seats are just too damn high? Like, you're trying to sit on a toilet and like your feet are like dangling and it's like, oh, I gotta spread, and you can't because like the walls of the cubicle are too high. It's like you're trying to have a shit and it's just like, well, how do I wipe now? It's like, at least it isn't up against the wall of a powder coater. Like, that's the only thing. At least they're not like bakehouses. And they have at least decent quality toilet paper. Better than that like one-ply stuff. Like whenever you find a public toilet. That's like most warehouse fodder I found. It might even be my hair. Like, I gotta wash my hair sometimes. You never know. Oh god, I'm running out of material. I'm starting to fog up a little bit. So how long did wearing face masks at work actually last? It didn't last very long at all. And I'm having fun driving around because it's like, you get fucking collecting sweat on the bottom of my neck and like try to go into the actual, the ordinary area and chuck my face mask back up and it's like, waterboarding. Oh god. Fucking So yeah, I'll probably have to end up like stop talking shit eventually. Get onto playing games or something. Gonna make some like chili con carne for dinner. Can I even pronounce dinner at the moment? Holy shit. But sometimes like all the shit that's on the floor, like I spent a couple of like maybe 4 weeks like slowly inching pallets closer and closer and closer to the office and like just pushing it out because like they tend to get hidden in like in the back of the racks. So like, and that's where they'll put shit. So when they're receiving like a consignment or something like that, they don't put it all in one spot. They put like shit like as they're receiving and they're working through it, they'll like have like getting all their labels and stuff done. And like they'll go and start doing putaways. And they don't even have any like system for doing it. They're basically reading locations off a carton and doing it one line at a time. So that, like they'll take a pallet to the end of the row, they'll go and pull down a pallet, and then they'll go back and they'll pick up a carton, and then they'll walk back to the pallet, and then they'll put it on the pallet. They won't even fucking wrap it, and they'll throw it back up. And like then they'll go back and they'll grab the next one. And like I'm just sitting there, I'm driving around, right? Because I've done this shit for ages. Like I'll have a full fucking pallet behind me, like pallet down, bang up, pallet down, bang back up, like one line after another. And oh my god, like it's just like no organization. So it's like people aren't taking the like, say like when you're checking off stuff blind, right? So when you don't actually have a quantity for what you're actually receiving, right? When people are checking off stuff blind, they're actually like they've got a list, and like you know we got this quantity, we got this quantity, and they go to put it away. So oh wait a second, that's not the right. That's not right. And then if the quantity is wrong, one of those guys will come out from the office and be like, hey, is this right? It's like, yeah, there was only that. And that actually saves so many criminal fuck-ups, because if you're doing it blind, basically, and you do a count, it's not on you if it's wrong. But that's the thing. So like if people are receiving like a manifest that's got like 92 or 100 or 150 different lines on it, and they're just like looking at the quantities, they're tempted to circle it and just leave it till later. But the problem is that then 1 or 2 weeks later, when they actually go to finally put it in the location or whatever, or if someone comes asking, oh, where is this? They don't know, because by that stage they've got pallets over here, they got pallets over there, they got pallets over there, they got pallets over here. It's like watching someone on Smack. Oh, it's like watching people on like taking fucking Flacker, like Speed, because they're just trying to get shit done as much as possible. Try to look as busy as possible, but they're not actually doing it right. I mean, like sometimes it's a little bit better to slow down, and when you have like a couple of 100 lines or whatever to work out, you just like get a list of what you've got, like, and if you can count it by eye. So like when you're writing down, okay, yeah, I've got that part number, I've got that part number, oh yeah, there's 3 of those, I'll just put 3 in there. Someone comes up to me later and is like, so do you have this part? And I'm just like, I grab my paperwork and it's like, nope, I don't have it, I don't know where the fuck it is, don't ask me where it is, go ask them. Because, you know, like, I can do that. They can't. Like, it takes like 5 seconds to sit down to, like, just for each line that's on a pallet, write down the part number, and then record what pallet you've put it on, and just keep a copy of what part numbers are with each pallet. So, like, that's what I actually do. And, like, if I end up with a pallet and, like, I've got the same part number on more than one pallet, I don't need to worry about it because it's still there. And if anyone grabs something off that pallet, all they got to do is cross out the fucking part number. And I'm like, oh yeah, my paperwork's accurate, as long as people are actually crossing it off. And it's like one piece of paper. But then you've got people who are actually, like, I don't know if it's just because they've been doing it for so long and they don't know the right way of doing it. But like, you've got people writing down part numbers on bits of paper and like taping them to the front of pallets, obscuring product codes and shit. So when you actually got to go look at the pallet, right? I completely ignore all their numbers. I completely ignore all their paperwork, right? I only need to know like a couple of different things: the primary location, the secondary locations, and if I need to look for something, I look at the primary first, then I look at the secondary, then I look at the next secondary, then I look at the next secondary, and I don't care if there's a piece of paperwork on it with that crossed out, because half the time it's not accurate. Because otherwise someone has to spend all the time to get another piece of paper and stick another piece of paper to the pallet. So, and when I'm looking for like part numbers on pallets, like you have the labels out, right? And your small cartons like might be up towards the top of the pallet, big cartons down the bottom, stuff that moves faster gravitates to the top of a pallet just by the sheer factor how often it's actually picked. So, and like you get people who don't drive forklifts and like they don't understand how like fucking pointless half the shit that they're doing is. Like, because all you need to do is provide a location, make sure that everything is visible, and if you don't find it, it's not there, right? You don't like, oh, we've run out of space here, just take that pallet down, put it over there, like we'll create like a secondary. But like our receivers can't even create new locations at the moment because our pencil pushers have turned around and said, oh sorry, you can't do that because you don't know what you're doing. and like telling our receivers that they don't know what they're doing. There's only one, well, two people maybe. One person who doesn't know what they're doing, and there's one person who's got like fucking 10 years experience doing it. And like part of the problem is that is actually part of the problem, because they have it in their head for like a day, and after that it gets lost. So, but if it cannot actually be put away in a location and they need to create a secondary, right now I'm taking it to a 2-man team, and it takes them about 2 or 3 days to fix, to create a location and whatever. But, and here's like the funny part, like this is why it's a funny farm, right? So, I'll give you a perfect example. Like we had a, and this happens all the fucking time, but like I completely went off my nut about this one because it's so fucking obvious, right? Like you should go off like this even when it's like a small little 50-cent part, if people aren't doing their job right, because like you got to teach people how to do it properly. And like I'm trying to make these guys fucking world class, and it just shits me when people are fucking going over what I'm fucking telling them to do, because I'm telling them to do it the right way. But say for instance when you have half a container that mysteriously vanishes because it's a 40-foot fucking container, right? And you've got 8 to 9 pallets of wrappers, which are not small cartons. They're big fucking huge cartons. They're like this big by that wide by like that wide. And you can only fit 4 to a pallet in a container. Like you might be able to fit another one on top of it. Like, so maybe an extra 2 if they're lying down on their side, but you pull that out of the container and a pallet's just gonna fall everywhere, so that's not how they do it, right? So we're talking like fucking, like half a 40-foot container, and one of our receivers sat down and keyed in the part number, I can even remember it, 424245P, right, type of wrapper. And they've sat there, and because of the way it was actually invoiced, they've sat there and +1, +1, +1, +1 in the actual system to add it into stock, because when they add stuff to orders, they don't just always add it like one line in the quantities. Like most of the time they actually need to add it in, like they've ordered one, then they've decided to order another one, then they've decided to order another one, and that gets all added up on the invoice before it actually gets put in their container. So when it's received, it's like that when it's actually received. So like there was 32 operations for this one. 32 fucking operations. Or 17 or whatever after what we actually picked from it had been taken. But these are humongous fucking wrappers, right? And they were booked in, and our person who prints off our pick slips, who thankfully isn't the person who's doing it right now, because the person who was doing it then was doing a hell of a lot better than the other person. They're like, oh fuck, today's going to be really busy, so I'm like, oh yeah, let's get going. So fucking second pick slip I get. Oh, it's been booked in yesterday. Oh, okay, great. So go over to the computer system. Okay, so this is supposed to be like 9 pallets of wrappers. So I go to one of the receivers. Have you seen these wrappers? Like did you guys just unload a container without me even knowing about it? It's like, oh no, I don't know anything about it. So I go over and check with someone else. Half an hour later, I check with the other receiver, and it's like, oh yeah, I got asked yesterday to book all this stuff in. Like probably outstanding like clearinghouse process of like clearing out in-transit stuff that's in the software to actually make it go into stock. And yeah, so but like it's just interesting that one person got told to do something that's completely fucking dodgy and told to do it, and the other person didn't even know. And like that's their job. Like they have to communicate together. So I'm just like straight up like, aren't you guys fucking communicating? And I have to apologize for one of these guys later because it wasn't his fuck up. And yeah, like it's all because someone who does not understand warehouse receiving processes gives someone an invoice, clear it out. The whole reason why it hadn't been done is because there was something very wrong with that fucking manifest, right? And it's not like, okay, let's go through, let's do a cycle count in every line that came in through that manifest. Let's check to see if the counts of what we received were actually correct. Are we suffering from supplier fraud? Are we suffering from people loading up half a container in their truck after work and fucking off with it? Like, you don't know, and you can't tell them. Because they're not given the opportunity to do the process right. And this is an edge case, and it's the reason why I fired up about it is because one of our uppers has finally allowed our receivers to do the job right, and an edge case from when they were being told to do it the wrong way has cropped up literally a week and a half later. And like, that's how far it can actually go back. Like, it fucking snowballs. You get bad data in a month ago, and it just goes, builds up, and then it's like, dump. And it fucks everyone up, because then it fucks up us doing replans, it fucks us up doing picks, it fucks up anyone interstate doing orders at their own businesses. Like, say someone's like a tech division at a workshop in Western Australia has put in an order for a wrapper. Okay, yep, they've got it in stock, we can wait. And then they find out 2 days later that the order's cancelled because it's not in stock. When all they need to do is receive it properly. If you don't cite it, count every fucking line, count every fucking carton, do it right. And like, it's so fucking frustrating, because like, I've done it right, and like, I've been written up for receiving incorrectly more than once. And not in this position, but like, I used to get away with some gnarly shit. And because like, I knew how it worked, and honestly, I never lost anything. But basically what would end up happening is that like a week later, one of my bosses would turn around and say, oh fuck it, we're just going to book this in now. We're not going to count it, we're not going to check it, start picking from it, go. And then something from what they've fucked up falls back on me, because they can turn around and say, oh no, it wasn't my fuck up, I'm the boss. I know what I'm doing. And that's exactly what's happening to this poor cunt in the area that we're working. Because you have fucking analysts who don't work on the floor. Anyway, so that's my bitch session for today. I hope it was epic. And yeah, like, stuff's getting fixed. It's just that if with people coming back off leave, if they keep on fucking micromanaging me, I won't be able to fix the fuck-ups. And it's just going to get worse again. And I can predict it. I've already been told to prioritize picks. I don't prioritize picks, I prioritize fucking everything. I get it done as needed, on time, just in time. And I usually build up a pile of work for all of our pickers who work the floor to get done the next day, so that they have work to do when they start, as opposed to having to wait around for it. Not just that, but also our packers and confirmers. So I usually have a couple of big orders sitting on the ground ready for them to go. So I do leave a couple of big orders for the end of the day. And then I grab all the forklift parts and I wait for the rest of it, and I leave it so that they can grab all the rest of it. And it helps them stage it, because when you're sending out consignments... Oh, the fuck, this is another big fucking thing. For months, the way that they were giving us pick slips, they weren't giving us all the pick slips for one customer at once. They were giving us a pick slip with 2 lines on it, then a pick slip with 1 line on it, then a pick slip with 3 lines on it, then a pick slip with 5 lines on it. And I just turned around and said, fucking staple the cunts together so that we can actually have an estimate of how long it's going to take to complete a job for one customer. Because when we're sending stuff out, one problem with it is they don't exactly wait till you have like a full consignment ready to go, like a full couple of pallets. They will send out a little fucking tiny carton this big, like $18 Star Trek or whatever Express to fucking South Australia, and then they'll send a pallet that costs like $400, and then they'll send like another half a pallet that costs like fucking $200, and if you put all that shit on one pallet, it only costs $500. So they're not staging and managing like effective dispatch, and like that's another thing, because like I've done it. Like I do receiving, I do dispatch, I do picking, I fucking and like one of the biggest signs of mismanagement is overwork. because there is so much work to do, not enough staff to do it, that it's like, oh, prioritize, like, do this now, that's more important. But what about this? 2 weeks later, snowball, right? You have to, like, if you want to get everything done, you have to do everything right. You have to do everything professionally. And it's not like just knee-jerk reactions, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this. You plan out what you want to do a week in advance. So, like, if we receive in, like, fucking 300 lines or something like that, we know it's going to take fucking 4 or 5 days for people to stick labels on all this shit. And you know that it's going to take another 2 or 3 days to get it ready and staged for putaways. And you know that it's going to take 2 or 3 days to put away. But, like, they don't think of it like that. And, like, they have so many casuals, but, like, one of the worst parts about it is that, and I kind of agree with it in a way, it's like, you know, you got to make sure that everyone's got work to do all the time. But, like, and this is the thing, like, half of them, more than half of them, including full-time staff, don't even have a forklift license. It's like, I say, when you've run out of shit to do, rather than fucking inventing ways to make our life hell, get on a fucking forklift and start sorting out that consignment. Like, there's only fucking 3 people doing it. Really? And as we all know, receiving is the most critical and important part of the warehousing process. You're like garbage in, garbage out. If you have bad data to start off with, you're going to have bad data to finish with. And, like, are people sending emails when stock isn't, like, received correctly? So, like, say they're supposed to send out 20 or something and they only send out 10. Who's writing off an email to the supplier going, dude, we didn't receive the correct amount on this invoice? And see, like, that's what they don't want to do. They don't want to take the time to do it right. So that means the people who are supplying us keep on getting more and more and more cocky with what they can get away with. I've seen it before. And fuck, like, I suppose, like, what we're working with right now isn't medical goods, but it's expensive stuff. Like, it's like electronics and all that sort of shit. Like, it's not as expensive as a brand new machine, but it is pretty damn expensive. And if you can't fulfill customer orders because stock has been received incorrectly and you don't have it in stock, after you've told a customer that you have it in stock, or you're required by law to have it in stock, then you can't provide that part because they've cut corners and done this and done that. That reduces customer confidence, and what happens is the flow-on effect is people don't buy the new shit. Like, they don't buy the new parts, they go buy another brand. Like, the critical part in, like, any warehousing is receiving. And when you have a situation where you're working at, like, a distributor that distributes the parts for a national operation, our containers come in for those parts, and then those parts get distributed from where we are all over Australia. They don't get just distributed in the local area, they don't just get distributed from here to New South Wales, they get distributed from here to WA, Darwin, New South Wales, South Australia. Everything in this company relies upon us doing our job correctly. And we have, wait for it, 2 receivers. Does not make sense. Not unless you're trying to fuck it up. In reality, we need 4. And they don't have the tools to even receive properly. Like mix parts and stuff like that. You have people bending down repetitively and picking up hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of items out of cartons sitting on the ground because they don't even take the time to set up a table. Because A, they don't have a table, and B, they don't have the time to go get a stack of pallets 4 Loscans high to fucking stack a bit of cardboard on it, use it as a table. Right? Not to mention, we don't even have Loscan Machette pallets. They're all these fucking dicky pallets. Though admittedly, that situation has improved drastically. That's no longer as big of an issue as it was. But it was a big issue. It's just one of the many issues that we've had to deal with. But yeah, it'll get there in the end. But it's just absolutely critical and key that the receivers don't get fucked with at the moment. One manifest at a time. We're not doing it one line at a time. We're doing it one fucking manifest at a time. One manifest at a time. And like one team working on one manifest. So you have like two guys working on one manifest, and you have a team of like people labeling and stuff and checking it off for like another manifest. It's two different teams. And now I'm doing putaways for both of them. Now I've got no problem there because I'm a gun, I can do it. But like, you can't expect everyone to act like that and work like that. And you can't expect me to do that and do something else. Like, I'm more than capable of doing it. I'm just saying that if you want me to do more than one thing at one time, stop micromanaging me. Let me do my own fucking job, because I know what I'm doing. End rant. And like, it really cuts to the core when I've got like a 22 or 23-year-old girl saying, "Oh, why are you doing this? Well, why are you doing that?" Or I've got like a 55-year-old, 60-year-old woman who doesn't even have a forklift license telling me how to do my job. Like, no. The biggest thing that's missing from our area is someone who's competent with operation of machinery and understands how a warehouse works, actually organizing the different teams that we have. Like, we do have it, but we have it at like an upper management level. We don't have it at a middle management level, like a floor supervisory level. So like, pretty much you have to wink wink nudge nudge people to get them to do it the right way. It's like, for instance, we had one guy who wanted to pull out a bit, like, straight up I tell my manager, it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna start working on this shit today." So I come back from a morning break and he's already started. He's already got 2 pallets out. I'm like, oh boy, here we go, because he's already fucking it up. 3 pallet shuffle because we don't have enough room on the floor. So I'm just like, okay, yep, it's all good. Yep, so are you bringing out the stuff that's committed first or non-committed? Oh, yeah. Okay, yep. So I drive up and I block it how, like, the way he can get out. Because I'm the person who has to process it afterwards, not him. He doesn't know what I have to do. He does know what I have to do, but he doesn't know how I like to do it. And like, that's the thing, because he hasn't worked in a different environment. He's a fucking hard worker, don't get me wrong. He's a good worker. But like, if like, he has to do it my way. And like, I have to do it his way in a way as well. And like, we can work together as a team, but like, that's where we connect. Like, that's where we have to do it. So I basically went and, like, you know how we used to do the T2s? So we'd have people pulling it out of the cage, like that sort of area. We'd have another person grab it and take it. This guy wanted to do it all by himself. I'm just like, nope. Nope. You're on a counterbalance, mate. I'm on a reach. So, went and took the pallets from him as he's bringing it out. As I'm going out, I'm grabbing a pallet, bringing it back to him to take in. And yeah, like, work around it that way. So we, like, together we moved up about like 50 pallets in less than an hour with like just 2 of us. And so that's the sort of shit that doesn't not normally happen, because if I did not take the initiative, and it's like, that's the thing, I should have been picking, right? But no, that's not what I should have been doing. I should have been helping this guy out, right? Because he needs the help. And like, people are just like, oh, just dump off doors on this other guy. It's like, just give all this guy this shit. And I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna give him more shit to do. He's already got enough shit to do. Let him do his own shit. He's got shit to do. I'll do that, right? And I can do it. I can do it better than he can. And that's the whole point. Like, my shit, when my shit is processed, it's going to be there ready for them to fucking pick. Whereas, like, oh yeah, and that's the other thing, right? So, like this other dude, when he's putting shit away, if it's something that has not been received yet, and he doesn't know, because he doesn't go check the computers or anything, he doesn't make a list, he doesn't go sit down on Excel, like he doesn't actually work out what's been committed, he doesn't figure out whether or not it's been received yet, whether or not it's been manifested yet, or someone is just throwing him something. So he'll come up with a list of like what he's got. No quantities, just part numbers, just no quantities. And he'll put it away and he'll give him a location and he'll stick fucking paperwork all over the front of the fucking pallet when it's up in the rack, so that when someone actually needs to go work with it, they have to pull it down, rip all the fucking work that he's done off it, rewrap it, and go, oh yeah, my part's not here. Fuck you, put it back up in the rack. And the reason why that's happening is because when that paperwork gets given to the people who are doing it, they check the manifests in the computer system, and if there's no stock on hand, they add the stock in based on what's on the manifest. And can you see where I'm going with this one? Is the manifest correct? No. So, our guys, my team, when we fix their fuck-ups, we do it eternally. When we find nil stock, zero stock, we get it AF'd out. And then when it's found, they put it back into stock, but they put it back in the wrong quantity because they're going off the manifest, not what is actually on hand. So we fix it, they fuck it up. We fix it, they fuck it up. We fix it, they fuck it up. And we can actually tell, like clearinghouse process, we know when they fucked it up. And because of the work that I'm actually doing, I can identify it the day after it's been fucked up. And so like I just raise hell as soon as I know something's happened. I'm just like, fuck this. You, Gaz, fucking everyone. I involve everyone. Because that way it won't happen again. And like I hate being the bad guy and having to do it, but it has to be done. Like you cannot run a warehouse based on inaccurate data. It's the most anal part of warehousing that you have to get right. And trust me, everyone who's done any receiving at all, or any picking, anyone who drives a forklift knows that if you don't have accurate data, you are in for a good time. Like rape time. You're gonna get fucked up the fucking ass all day. Time. And like it's got a flow-on effect, as I said, so it's not just wasting your time, it's wasting other people's time. Like, so by the time that one error on a 50-cent part has been picked up, it's already cost them like fucking $100 because you got to identify it yourself, fix it with someone else. Someone else on another site has to fix their shit, and it's got a flow-on effect, organizational chain. It's just like, as soon as that link breaks, it's like, the whole spiderweb just goes, bleh. And it only takes one fucking line. Like, if you want to make any money at all, like you have to be accurate, and like we should not be talking about whether or not the receivers are accurate. We should be talking about pick errors, people picking the wrong stock, picking the wrong stock from the wrong locations. That's the sort of investigations that we should be doing. The investigations that we are doing are core fundamental warehouse fuck-ups that need someone basically to be on everyone's case permanently all the time, and that's what I've been doing. And like I haven't been doing it in a nasty way either, but I haven't been easy on them. But then it also comes across to the other situations where, and when I say that I haven't been easy on them, I have not been bullying people. It's just like straight up, like I'm trying to teach them how to do it to standard, like as people should be doing it, and showing them how to do it. Even like people complaining. It's like, oh, we don't have an IMS. We don't know how to do it. Like, we can't do it with our system. It's like, well, create your own fucking IMS. I just did. Like, it takes 5 seconds to do that. All you need to, like, basic computer literacy skills. And, like, if you're working, like, say, commercial goods and all that sort of stuff, like, it's a little bit different. Because, like, if you want to count a row, you can just, like, look at it. It's like, oh, 28, 31. Right? You can count it like that. And that's how you do, like, your stock take and your cycle count. So you can have a rolling stock take. But when you're receiving stuff that sits on the pallet for 4 years, right? You can't just cycle count it. It has to be accurate when it's received. And like, that's the thing. Anything from a certain date, like from today onwards, from this date forward, everything should be accurate. And that's what me and the receivers are working on. But they're still fucking up in a way. Because they're still mixing up consignments and manifests. Like, they're spreading stuff out and they're getting it mixed up. And like, that's why my little project, so to speak, is to like take all of our incoming goods from China and just show them how it should be done. And like, I've already processed like fucking, I don't know, about 50, 60 lines, cycle counted, palletized, ready to be put away. And I did that this morning. And I also got all our doors and stuff, which like don't have a location, so like big heavy long cartons and all that sort of shit. And I've got that ready to go for when the back orders come out. Because like, and like, I spoke to one of the young guys today working in one of the areas, and it's like, oh, it's new stuff, like there won't be any orders for it, none of it will be committed. It's like, dude, if it hasn't got a location, the reason why it's got no location might be because we're ordering it in because a need has been identified, that we have orders that might be coming out for these products because they're new and people have got faults with them and it might need to be fixed straight away. And it's just like, oh, it's new. We were not going to touch it for 4 or 5 years. It's like, yeah, no. People buy, they buy something and it's broken within like a couple of weeks because they've accidentally dented it. And they're like, oh, we got to replace it. And like, people are spending too much time on the floor trying to forecast shit, right? What they should be doing is treating everything like it's about to go out and everything like it's committed, because that's best practice. If it's not, fine, put it away. But like, it takes 5 minutes per line to get some of this shit away, or longer. Can take up to 10 minutes. Like, you might have to rearrange a pallet, you might have to like rewrap it. It might not all fit on the pallet. You might have to get like an overflow creation. Like, and like, people, like, there's so many people who don't even understand basic warehousing terms. It's like, okay, so like, what's a committed part? What's an overflow location? Right? What's a pick? You know, what's a replenishment? What's a replan? Right? So one of the biggest problems that we had with our analysts was they heard the word replan. It's like with a Queensland accent and people talking about it all the time. They don't understand the difference between the two different concepts. And one of them has fallen by the wayside. You have replans, which is like replenishing stock. And then you have replans, which is replanning the locations of your stock. And unfortunately, because of the way that they store stock, they don't want to do it dynamically. They could do it dynamically if they knew what they were doing. It's not that hard. As I've been saying for months, it's not rocket science. And I'm not the only person who says that. There's actually one person who I bitch about all the time who completely fucking agrees with me. And they've been doing it for 20 years. And they don't even have a forklift license. It's not rocket science. It's not. Getting a list of what the different parts are, where they're supposed to go, and keeping it up to date, and making sure that things don't get lost by the wayside. That's not rocket science. Trying to predict what parts are going to go out, when they're going to go out, where they need to be staged in order for them to go out, that's rocket science. Okay? The physical act of us receiving goods, checking to make sure that they're accurate, putting them away into a new location, or creating a new location if there's no room for it, is not rocket science. That's warehousing. And people just get daunted by the task. It's like, it's not rocket science. And like, that's the thing, I've been training these guys how to do it. Like, little bit by little bit, and I know that they think I'm arrogant. And fair enough. But I'm just trying to make sure that they are doing it the best way possible. To standard. So that they don't kill anyone. Because trust me, I've been having a lot of fun with those racks. And like, it's not just like that, it's also about like products getting damaged. I mean, like the stuff that we work with, if we damage something and it gets sent out to a customer, and we haven't stored it correctly, and their house burns down, it's like when I used to work with medical goods. Like, if you don't handle the product properly, you give people diseases. Or they die. I remember when Corona first fucking started. That workplace treated me like shit. And the only reason why is because I wasn't permanent. But like at the end of the day, our job was to make sure that people fucking lived. So like doctors needed surgical gloves, people needed masks. The reaction that we had to that fucking... Every time we had a new epidemic pop up, we'd be sending out fucking 20 pallets of shit, mixed cartons, hundreds of lines, and we'd be doing it every day. A team of 3 people. And all 3 of us, we were receiving hundreds of lines a day. Putting away hundreds of lines a day, picking hundreds of lines a day, dispatching hundreds of lines a day. My KPI later this afternoon, when one of our people tried to say, "Oh, it's a panic, you shouldn't have been doing what you're doing because you're not getting the job done. You got all these picks that haven't been done," and tried to fucking make it out that I'm shit to my boss, my actual boss. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's all your fault. It's like, yeah, I'll have it done by the end of the day. I did have it done by the end of the day, and I still had 20 minutes to spare. But I'm like, I can do that. But like, you can't expect people who have been in an environment where it's acceptable that they're picking 10, 20 lines a day to do that, right? Like, I'm used to doing hundreds of lines. Like, at the KPI that I set the last hour of today, if I had done that all day, you wouldn't need 2 pickers on the forklifts, because my pick rate was at about, I don't know, 120, 140, 160 lines a day. Depending on what angle you look at it from. And like, just the fact that I have to stage stuff and actually carry it into the, like the packers and all that sort of shit. It's not like I can just pick it, chuck it in a fucking carton, throw them the fucking piece of paper and say, sign it. You know, that's what I used to do. Because I knew I was fucking accurate. Since I've started working at this place, I've had 3 pick errors. 3. Over 6 months. And so, like, you go up to people, it's like, when you have something that's sus, it's like, okay, this doesn't look right. No, it's alright, just send it. We'll find out if it's wrong when they send it back. Quote. More than once. And these are the people who are running that area. Now, I actually enjoy it because it's a bit of a challenge. Like, that's the reason why I wanted to go over there. It's because, like, I was driving past it every day. And I was just like, oh my god, that is such a shit show. Like, one day, like, before everything started to crop up, I'm just like, to my boss, I'm like, fuck, they do it really nice there. Like, this whole place is managed so well. And, yeah, just go past that one. It's like fucking reach operators who can't even wear like fucking impact resistant glasses. When I'm putting pallets up and I'm pulling fucking pallets out, I have like shards of fucking wood flying past my head all day. Fucking shit dropping off pallets. None of it gets damaged, mind you, because I actually know what I'm doing. I usually catch it with a mast. Oh, it's like people putting in pallets. It's like, and like, you know, like they'll be raising it in the middle of the aisle, and I'm just like, I'm already turned in and I'm raising it by the time that they decide to put it away. Like how hard does it get? Like people putting pallets away, putting pallets in, and side shifting it so that it's right up against the fucking support. Like what the fuck? Like if you got pallets sitting right up against the support, what happens if there's an impact on that pallet? It hits the fucking support. I mean, like you leave like, you know, an inch, 2 inches between the edge of a pallet and the support. And like when you're dropping your pallets in, like you leave clearance between the pallet that's next to it. And if you can't fit it in, you just redo it, right? You maybe create like a secondary or something like that. But it's like, so when I go in to grab a pallet and pull it out, I go in straight, usually. So like by the time I've got a tine in, I'm going straight. I might turn into it at height when I'm actually going in. But like I go into it straight and like I'll pull the pallet straight back out. I don't give a fuck. If they put it right next to the beam and I have to sit there and because the hydraulics, the way that they work on a reach, is like if you have to lift it up a little bit and you have to side shift it a little bit, that takes like an extra 5-10 seconds. You add that up all day, you pull down a couple of hundred pallets, it's going to take, it takes like at least fucking 30 minutes just side shifting because people aren't putting pallets away correctly. Like, if you cannot, when I put a pallet in, I line it up, it's straight. There are edge cases though, like on the edge, on the ends of racks, and whenever there's a support beam behind the pallet, because if you can't, because like if you push it up against the support beam, the pallet will turn, right? So you have to take extra time with that, and that's always at the end of the rack, right? So the ones at the end of the rack are a little bit harder, but like I just turn in, straight in, dunk, pull out, right? I slide it in, so like I drop it down. I wait until the board on the back of the pallet is sitting on the beam. It doesn't even need to be straight, right? And then I push the mast in, I push the pallet in so it goes click. And if I need to pull it back out, because it's a substandard pallet where you got like a distance that far between the edge of the board and the beam on both sides, then I adjust and I do different things accordingly. But I basically chuck the pallet in, slide it on the beam, and I lower as I'm doing it. And when it goes click, I start retracting, and I'm already retracting my tines because I don't need to lower my tines at all. It's already lowered and the pallet's already in place. Now obviously you don't do that with an 800 kilogram pallet, but we're not dealing with 800 kilogram pallets. If I chuck up a pallet, it's like takes this long. Next one. These guys, the way that they drive is like Like they're fucking retarded. Potatoes. And like even after they've chucked it in, they can't do it right because you can't pull it out straight away. So like when you actually get to pull out the pallet, it's like you actually have to side shift to fix their fuck up. If you cannot get the pallet in by just going in straight and extending while you're driving into the fucking rack, you've done something wrong. Straight up. Like when you pull the pallet out, you just fucking pull the pallet out. You don't fucking sit there and fuck around. So like you have like forklift operators who don't know how to drive without fucking like I did their fuck ups today. Like I'll straight up admit it. Probably lose my forklift license for doing it. I did it the way they do it, and I was doing it 3 times faster than they were doing it. It's also 3 times more unsafe. Just turn into the rack, then go up, then grab the pallet, lift it, pull it out, drop it, then turn and drop it on the ground. Not should set up a test one day. Get 10 pallets in a rack, right? Pull down 10 pallets from like the 8th level or the 6th. No, a mix of the top level, the next level down, and the next level down, right? 10 pallets, line them up, all the same pallets, and time how long it takes to put them away. And I work twice as fast as any of those fuckers. Law of averages. The problem is that they're so secure in what they're doing, they just don't give a fuck. And it's like, you can't even say to them, like, work more efficiently because that way you'll get the job done. Because I'm there to sit there and do their job more efficiently whenever they need me to do it. So, like, I have to work twice as hard as everyone else? What? Now, mind you, I can't do that with a counterbalance, but I can do it with a fucking reach all day. Need another drink. But yeah, since I've started working on these guys, like, it's gone from, like, people picking fucking, 20 days, like, 20 lines a day with the way that they used to do it to doing, like, 50, 60 lines a day. Except for they're doing 40 and I'm doing 80. And because no one signs off on their sheets, no one puts their John fucking Hancock on their picks, and no one puts it into the bill of lading, no one enters that system into the fucking database, I don't get fucking credit for it. No, I'm just a picker. The last place I worked while I was working for them was the most efficient site in our business in Australia. And it was because of the practices that I applied to the way that I worked. It's because whenever we received new staff or anyone had to be trained up to do the job, they did it the right way. And also because we did it all the same way. We all did the same job, which was everything. And like, you can't expect people who don't have the capacity to do everything to do that. And that's basically what I'm trying to do with this place, because like it does not seem as much of an issue from the commercial point of view, but from like the repairs and the spare part point of view, it's incredibly vital. It's crucial. We have to be efficient, otherwise the rest of Australia's sites don't work. And so like I just fall down and I have to do like the multitask thing where like if I have to do replan on a certain day, like we share it in shifts of 3, right? When I do it, that's what I focus on. I do that. I get that done. And the next person the next day that has to do it doesn't have anything to do for 2 hours, because then they can pick. And then they don't get on top of the replans, and the next person has like a massive pile of shit which they don't get through, and then on the 3rd day I get it, and it's back down again. So it just builds up and builds up and builds up, then it goes down and down and down. And you can actually like metrically look at it. If you sat on the cameras and you watch shit fucking disappear from the rack, it's usually me. But of course, because they don't... And this is like... I've started the cycle of accountability with the receivers, because that's the most critical point where you have to do it. But the next cycle of accountability is on the pickers and people doing putaways. So I'm showing our other putaway operator how to do it, and when they do it wrong, I go off at them. But like, not in a bad way. I mean, I'm still trying to be like their colleague. Like, if they do it wrong and they fucked up, I tell them they fucked up, right? I don't fucking sit there and fucking grr into them. It's just like, oh well, have a look at that. I can't find it. Can you see where it is? Oh no, I can't. Pull up all the fucking wrapping and shit and look around. It's not there, is it? How can you tell that it's not there? Well, because I had to pull all the wrapping away and have a look at it. But well, if you didn't have all those little bits of paper on it, couldn't you see that straight away? It's so much wasted time. Like wasting time is like the key, like to retaining jobs, it seems. Because like the longer you take to do something, like the more work there is. I mean, like it's okay when, like it's kind of okay when casuals do that, because like casuals would do that to keep their job. But when you've got permanent staff who are supposed to be the exemplary, you know, examples of leadership and skill doing it, then you know that you've got a massive problem. Like if you can turn around and sack all of your permanents and replace them with casual full-time staff who have only just walked into the job a couple of months ago, then you know that there is a problem. And it's not a problem with your staff on the hiring and managing the ups and downs. It's like a problem with your staff who should know what they're doing, that don't, or aren't allowed to do it the right way. Or presenteeism, which is another funny thing. It's when people turn up to work and they fucking hate their job, but they turn up just to get paid and they do the bare minimum. I can think of a couple of people in that category. Or you got people turning up to work, stoned off their fucking face, and take a couple of hours to come down. I can think of a couple of them. Or you've got people who don't understand the meaning of not talking on the phone in the workplace. Like, I've lost count of the number of times that I've yelled out to someone, "Hey, fuckface!" And they can't even fucking hear me because they've got earbuds in. You're working in a deadly environment. If I fucking hit someone, it's not going to be my fault. And see, that's the other problem is you got like, when you need to have a solution to a problem fast, and you know the person you have to talk to fix the problem, and you're, "Hey, fuckface!" and they completely ignore you and keep on walking, and you have to, okay, I'll put that to the side and I'll wait until they're ready. I do that shit all fucking day with certain people. And there's other people who I know that if I give them paperwork, they will do it straight away when I ask them to do it. I won't start naming names, but it should be blatantly obvious who those people are. And most of them are not full-time staff. If I need to get something removed from stock because the receivers have received an incorrect quantity, or whatever's not in, like whatever's supposed to be in location is not in location, I have one person I can go to straight away and be like, "Hey dude, have a look at this." "Oh, okay, yeah, we got that secondary." Yeah, so I've checked that secondary, I've checked that secondary, I've checked that primary, there's nothing in stock. What was the date that we last received it on? Okay, we got our last bit of stock in July 2020. Yeah, I'm guessing that probably was wrong, and that if it's sitting in a carton somewhere in the corner of the warehouse, then that is not my problem. Can you please remove that from stock? Yeah, okay. You know, that's what I want. To be able to fix shit live as it happens, because, and part of the reason that I'm actually doing it is because if I get an order, and this is why I do replans, right? If I get an order and it comes out saying that something's not in stock and we're supposed to have 150 of them, but I know we don't have it, what happens is that throughout the day, pick slip after pick slip after pick slip after pick slip shows up with that. Now, what I like to do is that as soon as I identify that there's a problem with it, I want to hit that on the head with a hammer real quick. Because if I don't, it snowballs and it creates more work for everyone. So if I've got a situation like, for instance, the one I was talking about before, where there's 150 of a certain item missing, I'll consolidate all the orders. They can't be packed, they can't go out until I get someone to have the balls and show the fucking initiative to take it out of stock before I can send that shit out. And I'll end up with a whole fucking trolley with fucking 100 lines on it going out to like 10 different customers. Here you go, I fixed your problem. Sorry, we won't be able to send that out right now because we don't have it. Whereas other people are like, I don't know, there's so many. It must be somewhere. It must be over in the corner. It's like, no. It's like, we don't have it. It's not there. And if it is there, it's not my fucking fault it's not there. So fix it. And that's what I do all day. And I don't do it if I don't have a reason to do it. I'm not lazy. I'll look for it. I'll search the entire fucking warehouse before I make that call. But like, that's the thing, I am making those calls. Working together with another person who can turn around and say, no, we better not do that. I'm like, fine, okay. Right, that's the thing. I need someone that I can actually go up to and be like that with, not someone who will fucking ignore me from fucking 5 meters away. We got a problem because there's 100 lines sitting there that I need to get this done now. right? And it's just like, oh no, it's just, oh, you're just a picker. Hey Charlie, how are you going? Oh, like I'm going alright. Like I'm bitching a lot, but like I'm actually in a fairly good mood. I just like, I'm using today as a de-stress session because like it's a Monday and I have a fairly hectic job, so I'm just, and we've had a lot of people, a lot of troublemakers basically come back over the past couple of days after Christmas holidays. So like, I'm just getting it out of my system so when I go back to work tomorrow I can do the best that I can do. Bit of a long-winded explanation, but that's more or less it. Oh, so what's up? How are you feeling? Like, I can say that you're saying you're terrible. Hope you're not sick. Hope you don't have the plague. And trust me, I've been homeless twice, all sorts of dramas, so nothing that you say could surprise me. And yeah, like if you're having a bad day, dude, vent. Nothing better than venting. Yeah. Yeah, I got one for you. How about oh, okay, here we go. Ah, okay. Yep. I mean, it's a counterpoint. So, like, it's a counterpoint of view. Yeah, see, with stuff like that, like, God, how can you take it from both, like, points of view? So, there's all sorts of scientific evidence saying that the world isn't flat, but there's also counterpoints, so like pseudo-scientific arguments saying that the world could be flat, and it could be. We might not know, but generally that might go across into like all sorts of like conspiracy theories, like people are lying about certain things, like about like measurements taken and all sorts of different types of data, and yeah, like I mean, there are certain like theosophical and religious points of view that can be very biased towards those viewpoints. So it's not something that like people just like do, but a lot of people troll about it too. Yeah, I mean, okay, well, I've got one to spin your mind out a little bit. What about particles popping in and out of existence? So like quantum foam mechanics. So at any point in time, within a certain volume of space, particles are popping in and out of existence. So you can measure it, you can say that something was there, and then it's gone. And like, there's no reasonable explanation in science for that either. Yeah, like everyone can troll about it, yeah. Yeah, well, trust me, I've been there. And I'm not saying that it's a delusional thought. I mean, without the greater burden of evidence, so like extraordinary proof requires extraordinary evidence. And that's the thing. So extraordinary evidence that the world is flat, extraordinary evidence that the world is not. And like, there are arguments on both sides. personally, I don't believe that the world is flat, but that's me, and that's just due to my own studies. And I, by no means, like I'm like you, I research things, I look things up, and like it all depends on whose viewpoints you take. So you can be listening to one person, and they could be giving you one line and it sounds legit. You're listening to another person, they could give you another line, sounds legit. You know, like. Yeah. Well, for instance, okay, let's go into the theory. I'll do the math, kinda. Say, for instance, you have something that's flat. So, like, explaining traveling from one side to the other of a flat map might actually resolve on something like a quantum, like the way that light curves in space. So, if you have light that's traveling, or like particles or whatever, it's affected by gravity, and it could curve around and come back around to the other side. And there could also be like quantum tunneling. There could be a wormhole at the edge of the map. So like you go into a wormhole and everything that you see through that wormhole is on the other side. And like any light or physical transmission of particles, any properties, could actually be tunneling around and back through. That's a possibility. Like, say for instance, like you have multiverse theory, so like multiple universes. What if, and this will blow your mind, what if flat Earth theory is like multiple universes where you have like a flat Earth, and next to it is another flat Earth, but completely up, like where the continuation of the edge starts there. So when you're traveling and you travel to the other side of the flat Earth and you go to the other side, what if that is another flat Earth, but it's also on a different dimension? Right? Like, how can we say that that's not true? If given sufficient physics, you could prove that it's true. Like, for instance, you can prove that 1 equals 0. There's all sorts of different scientific evidence that you can prove that 1 equals 0 in math. So you can say 1 equals 0. You can actually have a mathematical proof saying that. And that's actually a thing. Yeah. But see, like that's about the only way that I could explain it if it was in fact true. So if I was believing like extraordinary evidence, the burden of proof actually lies within the proof that we have, which says that the world is round. So I mean, like, yeah, so like that's generally, I don't accept anything, like, I'm not schizophrenic or anything, but like I don't accept anything as being 100% true until I've actually personally experienced and I understand how it works. So if I go through the different science, I can actually say, okay, well, this sounds legit, like this looks legit, this is legit, I've experienced it, I've seen it, I know it is, right? So unless I can do that, like I'm at about like 95% possibility. Santa Claus could be real, right? Could be, might be. The world could be round, could be, might be. So you have to weigh it upon like probabilities, and so there's no actual proof for any scientific constant because we're constantly discovering new things all the time. So, like, straight up, yes, perception, exactly right. Like, we are basically biological machines, and what we are experiencing might be the Matrix. We don't know. Because, like any sufficiently advanced simulation would be able to fool our senses and our means of measurement. And I can also say to you that perception might actually manipulate observation. So, like once you observe something, it changes. So like a quantum mechanic level, Like say if you do the slit experiment, like Schrodinger's cat, the cat is either dead or alive until you open the box. You don't know until you do it. Exactly. Yeah. So, like, we don't necessarily believe different things. Like, we probably believe the same thing. It's just that we're looking at it from different points of view. And locking yourself into one point of view is probably where you can go wrong. And I can go wrong. We all go wrong. Like, I have my own point of view. Other people have their own points of view. And, like, everyone has got their own form of perception. But what if we exist in a reality where perception actually affects our reality? So what if, like, say if you have 500,000 people over here who believe that orange is blue, and you have 200,000 people over here who believe that orange is orange, then the majority of people believe that orange is blue. Right? So what's to actually change that perception? How do you prove the difference? Like, how do you change, like, the actual understanding of what they can see as a spectrum? Like, it might have slightly different eyes, for example. So they see, like, a wavelength of light that's slightly blue shifted or red shifted away from what they're actually observing. So what one person sees as orange might actually be red to someone else, to what they actually see. But we all get used to our own perception of what we see, and we apply other people's labels and constructs on top of what we actually see to form, like, a normality. Because in reality, we actually everyone perceives everything differently. But whether you see something as different and they see it as different, to you and them, they both look the same. It's a weird thing. And God, you're lucky I don't do drugs. If I did do drugs, fuck. Yeah, so like it just comes down to like perception. I mean, to one person the world might be flat. To another person it might not be. And you know, like it just depends upon how you perceive it. Personally, I want to get off this planet, so I kind of hope it's not flat. Hey, you're right. Hey, tick. No. Incoming kitty. Yo. It's like my 13, 14-year-old cat. Yeah, like it's a matter of perception. And the more people that you have that believe something, like sociodynamic theory, the more likely it is to be true. Like, people believe that the world was flat before Magellan, and before, like, observations, like scientific observations of, like, the distances between objects based on the speed of light, like inclinations of orbits, all that sort of stuff. People believe that the world was the center of the universe and everything else rotated around it. And, like, there was no way to prove that wrong until measurement. And, like, but those measurements could be wrong, because, like, the way that you actually perceive those actual measurements might be different. Some people might actually perceive it differently. Like my little cat here, who perceives food to be the center of the universe. And he also believes that tables are head-buttable objects. I'll be right back. I've actually got to go to the toilet. I'll probably feed the cat at the same time. I'll be back in about 5. Well, not even that, really. A couple of minutes. He doesn't want to go. It's like, food? Do you want food? You want food? I'll get you food. I'll actually feed you. I promise. Yeah? Go. There you go. Be right back.